The morning sun spilled gold over the fields, brushing the leaves of cassava and maize with a glow that looked almost heavenly. Birds cutting across the sky, their wings catching the light. While in the distance, the laughter of children floated across the warm African breeze. But amid this beauty stood a young woman, tears shimmering in her eyes as the voices of her neighbors echoed like cruel thunder in her ears. She's just a farmer's daughter. What does she know about the world? One man scoffed, shaking his head. Her dreams are too big for her tiny hands. Another whispered, and the crowd chuckled, dismissing her as if she were a joke. Yet inside her, something stirred a fire, faint but fierce, that would one day burn bright enough to light the path for millions. Her name was Amara, a young black African woman in her early 20s, dressed in a simple but modern green blouse and dark jeans. She clutched her father's old notebook, its cover worn but its pages filled with farming techniques and handwritten dreams of a man who had passed too soon. That evening, Amara sat by the wooden table inside their modest home. Her mother, Josie, wore a neat Ankara dress with a head wrap, her hands tired but gentle as she stirred the pot of vegetable soup simmering on the stove. "Mama," Amara said softly, opening the notebook, "do you think people will ever stop laughing?" Ngozi looked at her daughter, her eyes soft but steady. "My child, they laugh because they cannot see what you see. But remember, dreams are seeds. If you water them with patience, one day they will feed you and maybe the world." Amara's heart tightened, and she nodded, clutching the notebook to her chest. The next morning, she walked to the town square, where a group of men in sharp suits were discussing an upcoming agricultural exhibition. Their polished shoes gleamed, their voices loud with pride. Amara, her blouse tucked neatly into her jeans, stepped forward with courage, trembling in her voice. "Excuse me, sirs, I would like to present a new idea for farming that could increase harvest yields." My father studied soil rotation, but the men laughed before she could finish. "Go back to your farm, little girl," one of them mocked. This is not a place for farmers' daughters. The sting of humiliation burned, but Amara did not cry. Instead, she turned away, her notebook clutched tighter, her steps heavier but her spirit refusing to bow. That night, as the moon poured silver light across the fields, Amara stood outside, staring at the endless stretch of land. She imagined rows upon rows of green, healthy crops stretching further than the eye could see. She imagined families eating, children smiling, villages thriving. But then came the doubt. How could she, just one person, achieve this? Dropping to her knees, her palms pressed into the soil her father once tilled, she whispered, "Baba, if you can hear me, give me the strength to finish what you started." The following week, she gathered her childhood friends, Quain, tall and confident in a crisp white shirt and dark trousers. Zara, wearing a fitted mustard yellow dress with a laptop slung across her shoulder. And Tund, in a navy jacket with rolled-up sleeves, his hands always restless with ideas. They sat under the shade of an old mango tree, the air buzzing with cicadas. "They don't believe in me," Amara confessed. "But I believe in us. What if we start small, just 1 acre, experimenting with new techniques? If we succeed, they won't be able to laugh anymore." Kwame grinned. "Count me in. If you're bold enough to try, I'm bold enough to stand with you." Zara adjusted her glasses. "I'll handle the research. Modern farming isn't about tradition alone. It's about technology, data, and strategy. Let me be your brain." Tond slapped his palms together. "I'll find ways to market whatever we grow. People need food, and I know how to make them buy it." For the first time, Amara's smile outshone her tears. Days turned into weeks. The group worked tirelessly digiplanting and recording every observation. Zara's laptop glowed at night under the kerosene lamp as she analyzed soil reports. Kwame drove the tractor borrowed from a relative, his shirt stained with sweat, but his determination unshaken. Tund scribbled marketing slogans on scraps of paper, dreaming of labels and brand names. Amara herself rose before dawn, tying her braids back neatly and buttoning her simple blouse before stepping into the field. Every drop of sweat that rolled down her skin felt like an offering to the dream she carried. Yet challenges were everywhere. Seeds spoiled in unexpected rains. Insects chewed through tender leaves. Money ran short. More than once, Amara found herself standing alone in the field whispering, maybe they were right. Maybe I am just a farmer's daughter. But then her mother's voice would echo in her heart. Dreams are seeds if you water them with patience. One night, as thunder rumbled across the horizon, the group sat huddled in Amara's small living room. The power had gone out, and only the glow of a lantern lit their faces. We can't keep going like this, Ton muttered, frustration heavy in his tone. Without investment, we'll fail. Zara frowned, her fingers tapping nervously on the table. I sent out proposals, but no one takes us seriously. They keep saying she's just a farmer's daughter. The words sliced through the room, sharp and merciless. Amara's jaw tightened, her knuckles white around the notebook. Then let them call me that, she said, her voice trembling but unbreakable. One day, those words will no longer be an insult. They'll be my badge of honor. Kwame leaned forward, eyes gleaming. So what's our next move? Amara lifted her father's notebook, the pages fluttering like wings. We prove them wrong. We plant again. We fight harder. And when the harvest comes, we won't just feed ourselves, we'll feed everyone who laughed at us. The storm outside roared, lightning splitting the sky, but inside that small room, a different kind of storm had begun, the storm of a dream too powerful to be crushed. And though the world still saw her as just a farmer's daughter, Amara had taken her first step toward becoming the woman who would one day feed millions. The golden rays of dawn spilled across the bustling city of Lagos. Billboards flashed her name. Supermarket shelves were stacked with her products, and trucks proudly carried the bold logo. Ada Foods, feeding Africa, feeding the world. But as the world celebrated her empire, Ada sat quietly in her glass-walled office, gazing out at the skyline. Behind that confident smile was a heart carrying scars. Scars of betrayal, sacrifice, and the price of becoming the woman everyone once mocked. One morning she walked into a sleek, modern boardroom filled with men in sharp suits whispering under their breath. Dressed in a fitted navy blue gown, her heels clicked with confidence on the marble floor as she laid down her files. Gentlemen, she said firmly, this is the proposal for expanding into 5 new African countries. The demand is clear. Families need affordable food, and we will provide it. The older director smirked and muttered, Ada, you're still just a farmer's daughter. Do you really think you can run an empire across borders? Laughter erupted across the room. But Ada leaned forward, her voice sharp as steel. Never underestimate the seed of a farmer, because from one seed a forest is born. She dropped the growth reports on the table, and the room fell silent. The numbers were staggering. For the first time, the men who once mocked her realized she was no longer the underdog. Behind her public victories, however, lay a truth Ada rarely revealed. She often went hungry so that her workers could be paid. There were nights she slept in her office chair, hiding her tears, while the world believed she was invincible. One flashback shows her in jeans and a jacket, counting coins late into the night. Her best friend Amaka entered and said softly, Ada, you can't keep doing this. You're giving everything away. What about you? Ada looked up with weary eyes but a determined spirit. If they lose faith, the company dies. If I lose food today, at least tomorrow millions will eat. Amaka's eyes filled with tears. That was who Ada was, the woman who carried the weight of many, even if it broke her inside. Just when Ada thought her battles were won, an unseen enemy struck. One evening, she opened her laptop to find an anonymous email flashing across the screen. We will destroy Ada Foods soon after. Leaked documents and vicious rumors claimed her products were unsafe. Social media exploded with hashtags. Hashtag Ada exposed and hashtag farmer's daughter failure. Investors panicked, sales dropped, and whispers filled the streets. Ada sat in her office, her blazer draped loosely over her chair, her face pale. Who would do this? She whispered. The shocking truth emerged. It was her former Tund, the same man who had once laughed at her old car. Consumed by jealousy, he had started a rival company and was determined to crush her success. But instead of collapsing under the pressure, Ada rose higher. She faced the flashing cameras in a press conference, wearing a crisp white suit that radiated confidence. Her voice cut through the chaos. They said I was just a farmer's daughter. They said I couldn't build an empire. But look around you. Every product on those shelves feeds a child, saves a mother, strengthens a family. I will not stop. Her words went viral and the tide turned. Millions across Africa rallied behind her, flipping the hashtags into hashtag Ada Inspires and hashtag Farmer's Daughter Feeds Millions. Months later, Ada walked into a global summit in Johannesburg. The Grand Hall buzzed with international investors, African leaders, and reporters from around the world. Cameras followed her every step as she approached the stage in a tailored emerald green gown that shimmered under the lights. Her heart pounded, but her voice was steady as she addressed the crowd. My father planted seeds in the soil, she began, her tone filled with pride. He taught me that patience and resilience can turn dust into harvest. Today I stand before you, not as a victim of mockery, but as proof that Africa can feed itself, and the world. The hall erupted in thunderous applause. Investors stood on their feet. Journalists clapped furiously, and the very men who once dismissed her as nothing bowed their heads in respect. Ada had not just won, she had transformed the narrative yet. Even at the height of global recognition, she never forgot her roots. On a quiet Sunday morning, Ada returned to her village, wearing simple jeans and a white shirt. She distributed food packages to the children who once mocked her family for being poor. Now, those same children ran to her with bright smiles, holding packets with her company's logo. Her mother, with tears glistening in her eyes, whispered, Ada, you have done more than build a business. You have built hope. Ada hugged her tightly and replied, Ma, this was never just about me. It was about us, all of us. As the camera faded to black, the narrator's voice carried the moral home. They called her just a farmer's daughter. But Ada proved that the roots of humility can grow into a forest of greatness. Her story reminds us, never measure someone's future by their present struggles. And then came the powerful call to action. Opko kaya lagdahai, agar ope adaki jagahot, to itin tano or challenges kibad kai, op harman leet, ya la dret. Apna jawab comment main liko hum apk opinions, zarur pathenj. What do you think? After everything Ada went through, should she forgive Tund or remove him from her life forever? Share your answer in the comments. We'd love to hear your thoughts.